Okay students, this is page 111. Now I'm going to show you how to get the equation of the line, or the line of least squares as it is also known, by hand. Now in today's technology we have the ability to get this equation very quickly with our calculators and our computers, but I do feel it's necessary to just show you one time how you would do it by hand, if for no other reason, so that you can at least appreciate how much the calculator actually does for you. Here we have the number of ads ran from the data set we were working on before in example 10.1, and the number of cars sold. So this is our input variable and this is our output variable. Now, in order to find the equation of the line, we need these really complicated formulas. We need x bar, y bar, we need the sum of the xy's, the sum of the x's, the sum of the y's, we need the sum of the x squareds, and we need a lot of pieces of information. So what I do, if I'm working by hand, is I set up a table, and I've set up a table here. Here I've set up the x squareds, and all I've done was take 6 and square it to get 36. 20 squared gives you 400. 0 squared gives you 0. 14 squared gives you 196. 25 squared, 625. 16 squared, 256. And 28 squared? Well, you can do it by hand, or you can have the aid of a calculator to tell you it's 784. 18 squared is 324, and 10 squared, I don't need a calculator for that one, I know that it's 100. So this is the x squareds column. Let's find the y squareds column by taking the y's and squaring each one. 15 squared, 225, 31 squared, 961. 10 squared, again, that one's easy, 100. 16 squared, that's 256. Most people know that one as well. 28 squared, most people don't know that one, but the calculator will tell you that it's 784. And so on and so on and so on. To find the xy column, you need to multiply the x, which in this case is 6, times the y, which in this case is 15. 6 times 15 is 90. Check each one, make sure the math is correct. Down here in the blank spaces that I've left for you, check to see that you can get the right answer as well. 16 times 20, that should give you 320. And now 28 times 40, that should give you 1120. 18 times 25, that should give you 450. Now for each piece in the equation, it requires the sums. So let's sum the x's, meaning add together this column. Just go through and sum it up. You should be getting 145. What about the sum of the y's? Go through and sum up this column. You should be getting 212. Sum of the x squareds, 2785. The sum of the y squareds, 5320. The sum of the xy's should be getting 3764. Take a moment to make sure you can get these numbers. For the formulas, we need y bar and x bar. Remember how to find a mean: the sum of the x's divided by n, which would be 145 divided by the 10 different data points equals 14.5. The sum of the y's, again, y bar, that's just the sum of the y's divided by n, to find the mean of the y's. So the sum of the y's was 212 divided by 10. You should be getting 21.2 for the mean of the y's. Check to make sure these numbers are correct. In the equation of the line, we need this part called b and a to form the equation y predict, or y hat, equals bx plus a. The b equation is quite complicated, but if we take it slow and remember our order of operations, we should be fine. N is 10. There are 10 different xy pairs. The sum of the xy's we found, it's 3764, minus the sum of the x's we found to be 145, times the sum of the y's, which we found to be 212. All divided by n again, which is 10, times the sum of the x squares, which is 2785, minus the sum of the x's parentheses squared, so that's 145 in parentheses, and then you square it. Be careful of your order of operations here. Make sure that you do your numerator and denominator separately, or that you tell your calculator that it needs to be done very separately. I suggest extra parentheses. When you're done calculating, you should get approximately, if we're rounding to 2 decimal places, 1.01. I'm rounding to 2 decimal places for ease, just to make our calculations a little bit easier down here. For the a part of the equation, its formula is y bar minus b times x bar. You must have b calculated before you can get the a part. Y bar we calculated above to be 21.2 minus b, 1.01, times x bar, 14.5. Again, I never suggest rounding for accuracy purposes. However, in this example, I'm trying to show you the steps, so for our purpose in this example, it is easier for me to round. That way I don't have to write out 9 decimal places and try to have you keep track of it all. So I'm rounding for the ease of showing you what to do. In your own work, I rarely suggest rounding. Watch your order of operations, make sure you multiply, then subtract. You should be getting 6.56. Again, we're rounding to 2 decimal places to try to keep things simple because we're focused on the steps, the process of finding this equation. Once you find b and once you find a, you're ready to write your prediction equation. Y hat, or y predict, equals the b part, 1.01, times x, plus the a part, 6.56. This is the equation of the line. If you were to go back and plot this line on your scatter plot, you would have a straight linear line going through most of the points. Okay? The last part that we want to do by hand is use this equation. We want to see how many cars we can expect or predict to sell if we run 10 ads. Sorry, 12 ads, if we run 12 ads. We're going to use the equation y hat, this is the number of cars, equals 1.01, and they're running 12 ads, so x is 12, close parenthesis, plus 6.56. What does that equal? Well, it equals 18.68, but we're going to round to 19 cars. So if he runs 12 ads by this model, you can expect to sell 19 cars. This is called the equation of the line, or also known in statistics as your prediction model. Okay? We often refer to it as a model. Now this is how to do it by hand, but keep in mind that your calculator can get this wonderful equation for you with just a few clicks.